And I actually wanted to start by following up on something that you spoke about on the panel today, which was talking about trust deficits in different sectors. And I just wanted you to kind of expand on that for me. And you also mentioned some interesting quick solutions or potential solutions to kind of combat these deficits.
So the trust deficit I was talking about was really about business.
Right.
And it varies country to country. Different countries have different degrees of nervousness about businesses being involved in food. But food is a very sensitive issue, and consumers sometimes don't trust businesses. So that was the trust deficit I was talking about. So a really good example is the provision of therapeutic food in India, which therapeutic food for children who are suffering from severe acute malnutrition is a product, it's a treatment, it's used widely in Africa. And in India, people seem to be very nervous about it because it's produced by companies.
Okay.
So there's a very clear trust deficit. And one of the things we're working on is how do we help build trust through government production, NGO production, those kinds of things.
Okay. And what have been some of those solutions that have worked to help build trust? Any great examples, standouts to you right now?
Well, in a previous life, I worked a lot on vaccines, and that was a place where the big public health entities and the pharmaceutical industry often didn't trust each other. And actually, it was due to the efforts of people like Bill Gates getting them together in the same room and saying, look, you can work together. And here's a business model that can reach lower income groups for pharmaceutical companies, which really works for you and this makes business sense. And for governments, you can work with these partners and they're not going to always try to make a profit on every single moment. So it's building those trusts in there's no substitute for real conversations.
And I wanted to touch on or catch up with you on an interview that we conducted with you last year. And we asked you a lot about finance and finance mechanisms, and you made an interesting comment that impact investing and impact bonds are not a panacea. They were very promising, and I think you asked us to give you about 5 years to figure out whether it was a flash in the pan or whether it's this is really promising. But I figured we gave you one, and I'd catch up with you now and see and just kind of hear your thoughts on.
Well, Kelly, what's obviously the case is there's a huge challenge in getting more finance into these critical areas in partnerships that are innovative, bringing lots of partners together. And we need more instruments that are not just grants and not just loans and not just equity investments, but things that occupy those middle places. And there has been progress. Development impact bonds are one tool, a promising tool, and we've been experimenting with them and looking at possibly doing some more. They're not the only one. One tool I'm really interested in at the moment is a new fund that we helped create called the Power of Nutrition, which brings together money from government, from the UBS Optimus Foundation, UBS Bank, from us, high net worth individuals, and it's matched in a vehicle that allows that private money to go into the channels of the World Bank. And the World Bank has delivery mechanisms that most charities could just ache with longing to achieve in terms of the scale, their access to finance ministers and so on.
Right.
So that's a kind of unique, and previously it's never ever been a way for private money to be donated to go through the World Bank, ever. So it's only existed since April. Fantastic new opportunity, a new way for this money to be channeled. So that's a very practical way. It's not as complicated as a development impact bond,
Right.
But much more straightforward. I'm going to say one more thing, which
Sure.
is one of the key challenges is helping companies that need a subsidy to be commercially viable. So we have a place where it's easy to find investors who want a full commercial return. It's fairly easy to find philanthropists to give money where they get no return. But actually, it's that place in the middle where you get a sub-commercial return is the hardest place to look at. I talked earlier today about a program we are running with Living Goods, which needs a substantial subsidy, about 40% of their operating costs, which we're giving them. But otherwise, they're commercially viable. So it's a combination of commercially viable plus philanthropic subsidy.